Hi, I'm Kai, and I am the host of Conversations with Kai. And today, as always, I am so excited to introduce to you the guest in the studio. Her name is Marie McNeal, and today she's with us to share her new book, recently published, and it is called He Quit, She Rose. And it is a powerful, insightful story about relationships and how we enter them, how we exit them. And then she provides us with so much information about how to really be inside the relationship. Welcome, Marie.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
You're looking like sunshine.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this very provocative title.
Mm-hmm.
He Quit, She Rose. What obviously inspired you to write this?
What inspired me to write it is that one day my brother's daughter had broke up with someone, and he called me and he said, I need you to talk to her. And I said, me? He goes, yeah, you're like an expert. And she's not stopped crying. Should I take her to the hospital? And I'm like, no. I said, okay. But at first I was offended. Like, what about, I'm an expert of getting my heart broken? And then I was like, well, I've risen every time. He was like, well, you just know how to get over it. And blah, blah, his interpretation of it. And at first, and then I started thinking about it, and I realized my whole life has been heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. And so, as someone who meditates all the time and prays, I was like, I got to end this. I got to complete this cycle. Mm-hmm. And so I started completing all these things in my life. And as I was completing all these other things, this just kind of downloaded in 1 week. And It healed me. Yeah. Writing this book healed me. Yes. And so, my intention is to give that away. And, the title came to me so clearly because it was exactly what happened to me. People would quit and then I would rise, but it was because of my, how I was going about it, my journey.
Well, we were talking off camera about those influences that really have brought us, and it's not just us, but generations and generations, to, I'm going to say, a misunderstanding about what love is and how we behave and interact and engage in it. So we were just talking about all the stories, how there's the prince, the girl meets him, somehow they're separated, they're from different sides of the pond, whatever, but there's always, he's going to come and rescue her. Yeah. And I think that subconsciously, as women growing up in America, that's what we, inside we live by. We're waiting for our prince. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not that person right now. And I think that waiting for anything doesn't really work too well.
Waiting for anything.
Doesn't really work too well. I mean, I've learned that I've learned that only you can really have the answers for yourself. And so in this journey, I think the whole point is coming home to yourself instead of reaching outside of yourself for love. Like even the first chapter, I had people calling me when I first launched my book and saying, well, I'm not sure if it relates to me. And I said, keep reading until the chapter that relates to you and then start there.
Yeah.
Because you can fill in the words differently wherever you are in your life right now, and then start there. And then she was like enthralled. I don't know if she started on chapter 10 or something. And she was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, I knew somewhere along the line it would hit where you are right now, right?
Well, I'm going to
a different space.
And I'm going to take a moment and quote from chapter 3, where you just began with really the return to self. You went looking for love in places your soul never felt safe. You handed pieces of your heart to people still learning how to hold their own. And who knew, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's so deep, right?
Yeah.
But now you are coming home to you, and the return, it's holy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when I read that, I was just like swooned. It was like some force had just picked me up, and it was like, whoo. And then I realized it was me, and I hope that was the message, that you were sending, that we're really responsible for ourselves and how we feel.
100%. And how many people relate to themselves as they are sacred and holy, and their heart is?
I don't think a lot of people do. When you start talking like that, they shy away, and they're like, oh, we've been there. We know how people do.
Right.
And so each chapter, let me tell you, people, for me, and Marie kept saying, did you finish the book yet? Did you finish the book? And I was like, girl, there's so much to grasp in each chapter. I have to meditate on the chapter because I didn't want it to be like a fast read. You read it and you didn't get anything, even though it would have been there subconscious. I wanted to be conscious about it. And so it's just so beautiful. So I'm going to ask you, however, what is your favorite chapter?
What's my favorite chapter? Oh gosh, towards the end, there was this chapter. Wow, I turned right to it. That's so wild. Living with your heart open. And I will tell you that one of the things I discovered that I share, so I have this kind of commitment to the world that I created over this 5-year course.
Yes.
That all people live with their heart open and discover that they are the creators of their own lives. Yeah, chapter 20. And inside of discovering that you're the creator of your own life, where that has you stand in your life is not in victimhood or fear. And because that's...
Say that again, not in what?
Victimhood or fear. And when you live with your heart open, you manifest anything in your life faster. That is what I discovered. And so that's why I would say that this journey of mine led to me understanding that I could live with my heart open and not have the walls and the protection and all that. Like, I'm responsible for my heart getting broken by choosing who I allow into my space, into my heart, into my life. And when I discovered that, I discovered like, wow, so I can just live like that all the time and things just keep coming to me. I can hear myself more clear when my heart's open.
We're having this conversation and I'm thinking, ooh, our audience is talking about what? It's so juxtaposed to everything we learned. Like you said, we're like running around, guarding our heart, protecting our heart.
Yeah.
So, it's so important as you read this book to really allow yourself to be open, period, to receive the messages so that by the time you get to chapter 20, it makes sense to you. Because it's kind of hard. What? We're not going to do that. And I just found each chapter so full of, they always say there's nothing new under the sun, but certainly new ways to look at it, new ways to experience the lives that we're living when we really haven't been living at all. We've been hiding or protecting ourselves. Talk about some of that, because you talk to a lot of people, Marie.
Yeah. Well, it's very easy to hide and not live your full potential in life because there's so many things to hide behind, especially this day and age, technology and computers, and stay home and you could be living in a what do they call the immersion life or what the,
all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, it's a daring thing. It takes courage and it takes intent, and it takes commitment to yourself. Commitment to love yourself.
Yes.
Commitment to honor yourself and respect yourself, not expect someone else to do that without you doing it for yourself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
One of the things that's prevalent through all my courses is that if you want something from someone else, make sure that's who you're being first.
That's right. That's right. This is another quote. I'm just going to share some of those as we're going on, because too often we find ourselves in waiting as women. Like, he left and you're like, okay, I hope he calls me tomorrow. I hope he calls me tonight, whatever. And so after so many blue moons, probably because he's on another breakup or something.
You get resigned.
Right. Yeah. And it's this one says, the first no she didn't apologize for. He came back again. Same sweet words, same cycle. But this time she didn't reach for her phone. She breathed. She let the ache move through and she whispered, no. No to the pattern, and that's important. No to being the lesson. No to abandoning herself. It wasn't easy, but it was holy. And every time I read it, because just as I was reading it, I got something new. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. When it says no to the pattern, no to being the lesson. Because every time they experiment with us, as we're with other people, they're learning a lesson too.
Exactly.
But we're always like, okay, let's get back into the same lesson. Yeah. So just looking at that is a different way, is a part of the empowering, your lessons that empower us is what I'm trying to say. Each of these are like a lesson.
There's this saying that when you're in a relationship, or like, this is generalized, but I'm going to, divorce this person or break up with this person. And you always think it's that person. And then you get the next one and they do the same exact thing. Now, why do you think that is? It's because it's over here with you. That's the,
Say it again, sister. Say it again.
Well, you divorce this person or you break up with this person and you think it's that person.
Yeah.
But then you go to the next relationship and it's the same thing happens again.
Right. Because they call it baggage that you take with you.
Yeah. And it's because you think it's them. Mm-hmm. Right? But it's really a lesson for you to learn. Now, it could be a lesson in boundaries. Of holding your own boundaries. It could be a lesson in looking over here for something you're not giving yourself.
Right.
Like just say like your complaint is this person doesn't respect me. Well, are you respecting yourself enough to say no? Are you respecting yourself enough to create boundaries and not just say no, but walk away if you need to? Like whatever it is that's appropriate. But like for me, it's not like one answer for the whole, populations.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really about turning people in to trust themselves and to hear, whoever it is they believe in, but to create a relationship that's so strong that they don't have to look to society to tell them what to do, or anyone else, frankly. They can look in from time to time is healthy, but like they can look in and they're like, okay, this is aligned with me. This isn't aligned with me. This isn't okay. This is okay. And there's also giving space to mistakes, right? So it's not, it's not like black and white, cut and dry. There's also granting people, mistakes. And I'll tell you one thing that just came up for me that I think is just so important. And this is something in the last few years I've been having this come around with people, my clients, is that, when you're in a relationship and you want someone to do something and you want them to be perfect all the moments and do this and do what you said and close the cupboard doors, like that is something
like Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly. Like it has to be the way you want it. That's really something to look at, because that means you're holding the reins so tight on yourself, and you expect someone else to hold the reins just as tight on them. Right? Like it's fine if you want to do that to yourself, but unless you make a request, someone else might not want to be doing that to themselves and holding their reins so tight and having them be perfect all the time, right? So that's a very interesting dynamic I see lately a lot, is that people, wanting other people to be the way they want them to be.
And also, is it somehow a part of like completing them? They want someone to complete them, because wasn't that in one of those movies?
Oh yeah, Jerry Maguire.
Whatever. you know, and we go, oh, we just fall for that kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's so crazy. No, they cannot complete you.
Exactly.
But this is the thing, and this is one of my favorites. I have to share this with you. This is chapter 5. He comes back. And this follows the last quote, because this is what I was going for. If he comes back, that doesn't mean he's ready. If he comes back, that doesn't mean you're supposed to open the door. If he comes back, you get to ask the most sacred question. Does this serve the woman I've become? Oh my God. And that is such a powerful question. When I read that, because I was in my moment, I still am, where I was like, not with someone. And then he started calling, and I was like, you know, you get happy, I think, and it's all this. And then I was like, I'm not really interested because no, I'm that would not be the woman I've become going back, you know? And I before that, I don't even know if we ask ourselves those things. We're so caught up in the hurt, I think, in the disappointment of the missing of that individual, that we don't do what was in an earlier chapter, which is understanding the lesson.
Yeah.
So every opportunity for all of us is a moment to say, okay, what was I to learn from this experience? And we've been through so many, I'm just saying, life experiences that confront all of us, and we have to face them. And I'm thinking, as we're talking, that we're so fortunate because we've had a certain kind of education that has helped prepare us. But the people that have not, you know, are they asking themselves those questions? And if they haven't, that's why I'm saying, you know, it's not a quick fix. It's a deep rooting, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to root itself into you in terms of information that will last you for the rest of your life. I'm just saying, everybody go buy it now. He quit, she rose. And guess what? Men, you can learn from it too. You know, It's just not written for women. It's written for everybody. But share with me some of the chapters that may have been the most challenging for you to write, or in the sense of jogging, you know, memories.
Yeah, I just want to share with one thing, because there's this quote that the quality of questions you ask yourself is the quality of life you have. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things that, as I was writing, I realized that I could contribute, because I am someone who's so inquisitive and always asking myself new and different things, right? My meditations and such. Now, when it came to, I'll tell you, the one that was jarring for me to write was the one on sadness. Mm. So I've learned that there's different kinds of sadness. And there's a sadness that's connected to the past, and then there's a present sadness. And when you can allow yourself to be with any feeling, because most people, they just react on their feelings in relationships, right? So if you can respond, I would like to say respond from what you're really committed to in a relationship instead of what your feelings are, right? Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't mean your feelings are invalid by any means. Mm-hmm. However, feeling the hurt is necessary. But when you are able to feel sadness that's not connected to grief, but really allow yourself to lean in, that's most people, when they are in relationships and they're going through emotions, they suppress their emotions, or they try to avoid their emotions, and they just want their emotions to go away, especially anger.
But they've got to go somewhere, don't they?
Yeah.
When you're suppressing it, then they show up somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. They show up as illnesses and everything else, right? However, I encourage people to lean into the emotion. Mm-hmm. Allow yourself to be angry. Allow yourself to be sad. Because if you can allow yourself to be sad, on the other side of that, it's joy.
Yeah.
Like you transform that emotion, that experience into something different, right? But you gotta allow those uncomfortable moments. Like every time I have an uncomfortable moment, I never be like, oh, I don't want to be uncomfortable. No, uncomfortableness is so good because then you're growing.
Okay.
If you're too comfortable, then you're not growing. And as far as I've learned from every self-development guru I've ever seen, is that when you are fully alive is because you're feeling all of it, you're living, you're out there, contributing in the world, being expressed in the world,
You're embracing it.
yeah, you're embracing it. And there's a really interesting thing too about like understanding something and knowing it as a concept. And then people think they're doing it. No, concepts are concepts. But when you actually embody something, then it's like effortless. Life becomes effortless.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about it like that, embodying something that's effortless. Okay. See, I'm learning something still today. Not that I think I know everything, but I'm just still learning, something from you and in relationship to this book. So what do you want your readers to, how should they approach the reading of the book? What do you want them to experience? How should they, and what should they walk away with?
I think that the most useful way to approach the book is to read every chapter, and then where it relates to you, start doing the journal prompts and things like that. Like take time on each chapter and really allow yourself to fully embody the whole chapter, whether it takes you a week on one chapter or 2 days or a month. Like allow yourself to go through it naturally and organically on what serves you. What I want you to get from it is that, I dedicated this book to my nieces because I really, well, besides I love them with all my heart, I'm definitely a family person. I think that where human evolution is going is us unifying as a human race. And to get to that place, I'm ready for everyone's heart to never be broken again. And for people to live with their heart open and realize that space is a safe space in the world all the time. And, to do that, there's like allowing of people to be judgmental, but not take it personal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So like, I want people to, at the end, my intention is for people to live with their heart open, really.
You just touched on something, and I think we may have shared this conversation before, but, and it happens in relationships where we don't realize that we don't allow others to just be. We're constantly trying to, hey, pull up those pants, do this, don't. Oh, why do you talk like that? Say it like this. We're doing that, not realizing that we're oppressing. We're oppressing their self-expression, and yet we're expressing ourselves, telling you what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hello. Well said.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I laugh now, but Zen, you remember Zen, don't you?
Yeah.
Zen used to say to me, Kai, just let them be. I am letting them be. No, you're not. Yes, I am. And I thought I was. But when we have you're objecting to the way somebody does something, everything, you're not. Just take that and accept it, see what they're saying, and just be with it. And that's what you'd always say, just be with it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a real start, in any kind of relationship. It's to just be with the person. If you like them and you're attracted, then just let them be.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to change them.
Exactly. And see if that is someone you can be with all the time.
Right.
Because that's how it would organically develop. And, it comes back to one thing too. I'll tell you what is the major thing I used to do that I absolutely don't do anymore. I used to cut people off and my heart would be insanely hurt. Like I would cry every day. Or they'd break up and they wouldn't talk to me for 6 months, right? Now I won't do that anymore Now letting go of a relationship is an organic process. I don't think I can never talk to them again. No, I love them. Regardless of me just choosing to move on because it wasn't a match for whatever reason, like maybe, I wanted to like partner and they wanted to right now, or I don't know, whatever it may be, whatever everyone's journey is, I think you can let go in a way that takes care of your heart.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just cut off and then you have to feel so much pain, right? At once.
Yeah.
It can organically, and I learned this from a boyfriend I had in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an interesting thing to date in different cultures, different states and stuff like that. And different cultures, different countries, right? Everyone has these different perspectives, but at the end of the day, people are looking for someone to fall in love with. And they can fall in love with themselves. And, I have friends who have never even been in love in their whole life.
Really?
Yeah. And
I never thought about that.
That's what I say. I'm like, you've never been in love? And they're like, no. And I'm thinking, wow, I feel fortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've been in true love twice in my life. And I feel like that is like real, like, after the lessons and all these different spaces you go through and you're like, oh, that's love. Oh, maybe that's lust. Is that love?
Yeah.
Or like, right? There's all these like different kinds of things. But really, I think it's as I've grown to really love myself, I've learned what has me commit. I've learned like what I'm looking for, in each different spaces in your life, because as you evolve as a human being in stages of your personal life, as you get younger and wiser.
Yes, younger and wiser. Because younger is appropriate there. People think it's a joke, but it's appropriate because children, their hearts don't get broken. They're just loving and they get what they want.
Yeah, and they're expressing. They're like, they're uninhibited, right?
They're uninhibited. So there's a question that you prompted and something you said as we're winding down. And that had to do with, once you had the breakup. And I was thinking as you were saying that, I said, and a lot of people cut everything off because they don't want to be asked about anything about, well, how's it going? And it's like, I'm okay. They don't, they just tell you that and then you keep moving. It's okay to be, in mourning. It's okay to be by yourself for a minute. And some of us have big, issues with that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How do we deal with it?
Well, I think that, until, it's that famous saying, until you love yourself, you can't really love anyone else. And until you can be with yourself and love your own company,
that's a big one.
Yeah, then you'll love the company of other people. But I think I think everyone has to, be useful. I don't know what has to is the right word, but, be useful to have a relationship to yourself where you love your own company, where you know how to heal yourself, you know what you need when you need it. And, sometimes I need alone time, but I needed a lot more when I was younger than I do now.
But now you can, but because of the way that the era, the time that we grew up, it was so different. We could do that. Today, they can go to the phones, they can go to whatever, social media, and they're engaging themselves in anything and everything but themselves.
Exactly.
And I really, I just observed this with younger people to the point, like I remember it was a Thanksgiving and my goddaughter came to me afterwards. She said, why do you all do that? Do what? And she said, why do you say, what was the year? And then somebody says, I think it was so-and-so. And I said, you mean what? So I said, because we like using our brains. She said, all you have to do is Google it. That's what it was. I said, because we like using our brain. And what I'm saying is that's a form of, just being with yourself, going inside. And they just don't do that. They go from, and I'm wondering, there is no wonder at this point in time that there's so much more dissatisfaction. These are facts that I've been reading in relationships, because now they don't even meet people in the room. They're meeting them in the chat room. They don't even smell that person. You might not like their scent. I mean, these are just human things that are natural. I'm not saying a person that smells, you just might not. There's
there's a thing about that in relationships for sure. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm thinking, how in the world, what are you all doing? And then, they break up with a person online and then they find another one and it's the same crap. And they're just not find that moment to be with self, to get back to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
learning yourself. Yeah. Or you.
And learn whatever lesson they needed to learn to complete it, to move on in a different manner with someone else, to choose something different.
Yeah, well, that has to be your next book.
Yeah.
Break up with social media.
Break up with social media. I like that, actually.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope there's some gentlemen here. Please, you can buy this online. He Quit, She Rose. And do you have a place where they can write to you and let you know? Is it in here?
Yeah, the website is Blissapline.lifestyle.
It's all here.
Yep, it's on there. Yep, Facebook, Instagram, it's all on there.
And we'll add it to our credits. Yeah. But definitely not just because I love this human being next to me, but because she is one of the most insightful, and I tell her all the time, she is one of the most loving human beings I have ever met in my life. And we're not going to go through how old I am, but definitely. Really.
Thank you,
just sweet as she can be. But this book is all about being rooted in love, loving yourself, and understanding what you should expect and what you deserve from love in return. And the lessons will help you get there. Thank you, Marie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.